Hello students, I am Dr. Harpreet Singh from Department of Business Management, Guru Nanak Dev University's regional campus at Gurdaspur. Various models have been developed to study the behavior of people at workplace. The organizational behavior models were developed on the basis of the approach of management and various assumptions. The selection of any model to be practiced in the organization depends upon the prevailing situation and practices used by management, because models constitute the beliefs and value system which affects the management actions directly. It is the duty of a manager to make the management aware regarding the model which is more suitable for that particular organization. Managers must also make them aware about the nature, significance, and effectiveness of that model. Douglas McGregor was the first person to give attention to managerial models. He gave two theories, Theory X and Theory Y, about human behavior. Later, majority of the models were developed on the basis of the assumptions of Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X stated that human beings usually disliked work and they tend to avoid work as much as possible. They also avoided taking responsibilities. Human beings are ambitious about their career. They only want security in the job without putting much effort. Managers need to control, threaten, and even punish them to get the work done through them. On the contrary, Theory Y stated that people are not lazy, but they become lazy with time. This theory suggested that human beings will exercise self-direction and self-control if they are committed to the objectives of the organization, which is in direct proportion to the reward that they'll be getting for that. And according to this theory, people have the potential to work, ability to learn, and they will not only accept responsibility, but they will also seek it under proper circumstances. Basic organization behavior model. As we discussed in the previous module, in order to develop a thorough understanding of organization behavior, one has to move from the first level of understanding individuals and individual behavior in the organizations to second level of analyzing the group behavior in the context of organizations, and finally to the third stage of understanding, analyzing, and predicting the role of organizational structures and systems in influencing human behavior in the organizations. These three levels of analyzing human behavior are considered as building blocks of organization behavior. In previous module, we have already discussed the three sets of variables: individual variables influencing individual behavior, group level variables influencing group behavior, and various organizational factors influencing organizational performance. In this module, we will discuss the interaction between individual variables, group variables, and organizational variables, and the cumulative effect of these variables on human behavior in the organizational context. Individual behavior has the tendency to influence and be influenced by the group behavior, which further influence and is influenced by organizational system, structure, and design. These three levels of behavior further affect human performance at work. This phenomena is explained by the basic organizational behavior model. The model proposes two types of variables: independent variables and dependent variables. Independent variables. The set of independent variables includes all variables which govern individual behavior at three levels: individual level, group level, and organizational system level. Independent variables associated with individual level are biographical characteristics, perception, personality, attitudes, learning, values, motivation, ability, and individual decision making. Independent variables associated with the group level are group decision making, communication, group structure, leadership and trust, interpersonal conflicts, power and politics, and work teams. Independent variables associated with organizational levels are HR policies and practices, organizational structure and design, and organizational culture. Independent variables produce a response which is reflected in dependent variables. Dependent variables. Dependent variables can be defined as the response which is caused by independent variables. These variables have serious implications for the organizational effectiveness. The important dependent variables are productivity, absenteeism, turnover, satisfaction, and organizational citizenship behavior. Types of OB models. After having an understanding of different sets of independent and dependent variables that constitute an OB model, it is very clear that different organizations use different models as per their ideologies, situations, and requirements. Every organization is different from each other in terms of objectives, structure, technology, size, environment, and managerial approach, values, and working style of top level managers. These all factors dominate the choice of OB model, but it is certain that OB model used by the organizations aims at fulfilling needs of employees and organizational objectives efficiently in the context of prevailing situation. There are four types of OB models: autocratic model, custodial model, supportive model, and collegial model. Autocratic model. Autocratic model of OB is based on classical approach of management. This model is completely based on the principle of compliance and obedience to power. It forces the employees to obey the boss. According to this model, there is a hierarchy of authority and responsibility in the organizations. Managers enjoy power by virtue of their positions, but they use the power as a boss rather than as a manager or a leader. Decision making is centralized, and employees depend upon their bosses for each and every decision. Managers may hire and fire the employees using their authority and power. As per this model, minimum wages are paid to the employees to satisfy their basic needs such as food, shelter, and clothing. As far as the productivity of employees is concerned, the model did not contribute well in enhancing the productivity. The performance level of employees working in such organizations which used this model of OB was minimal. Therefore, strict managers are required who can make the employees more productive if this model is to be followed. This model considers organizations as a closed system, and therefore very little attention is paid to the importance of environmental factors in the organizational effectiveness. In this model, the flow of communication is not properly prescribed. There is huge communication gap and very less interaction takes place between the managers and the employees. Therefore, this model is generally disliked by most of the employees. This model is based upon the traditional thinking on the economic concept of man. This model is mostly useful where managers need to force employees to work hard in order to attain higher levels of performance. Sometimes managers also threaten them with punishment. This model suggested the execution of strict control on employees by seeking strict compliance of orders. Autocratic model is largely based on the assumption of theory X about human behavior. Therefore, the organizations which are implementing autocratic model can be characterized by rigidity and bureaucracy. The model was criticized because of high level of rigidity and bureaucracy advocated by it. However, the model has its usefulness due to following mentioned reasons. It is authority oriented. Autocratic model is authority oriented and is useful where organization is facing some crisis. In such situation, power is centralized and all employees are supposed to follow the orders to bring the organization back on the track. Time-bound situation. Autocratic model is very useful when the manager has to complete the project in the given timelines. Custodial model. The earlier model of OB did not contribute much in enabling the managers motivate the employees. Autocratic model of OB resulted into the feeling of insecurity, frustration, and aggression amongst the employees. Therefore, in order to understand the behavior of employees better and get more work from them, a slightly improved model of OB, known as custodial model, was developed. The prime focus of this model was to generate more satisfaction and security amongst the employees by eliminating the frustration and insecurity. This model focused on improving working conditions of the employees, offering them opportunities to grow and develop, and satisfying higher levels of needs, particularly security needs. Many organizations which were following this model started some welfare programs and fringe benefits for the employees during the first half of 19th century. Applications of this model in the organizations calls for more economic resources in the organizations so as to fulfill higher needs of employees. Satisfaction of security needs was the most important factor motivating the employees in the organizations. However, economic rewards and benefits given to the employees only provided some amount of contentment and happiness to the employees, but not strong motivation. Therefore, we can conclude that though this model contributed significantly in providing higher degree of happiness and contentment to the employees, it could not contribute much in increasing the level of productivity. The relevance of this model is given as below. Economic resources. Custodial model is successful because the main emphasis has been given to employees' economic rewards and benefits so that the employees may feel secure and satisfied. The satisfaction thus obtained motivate them towards their work. Dependency. Under this approach, employees feel dependent on organizations rather than on managers. Organization gives them chance to grow. Organizations also initiate employee welfare and development programs which makes the employee loyal to the organization. Employees satisfaction. In custodial model, the major emphasis is on employee satisfaction and happiness as compared to autocratic model. Supportive model. As the name suggests, supportive model has the managerial leadership quality to support employees for the achievements rather than economic resources. The main aim of this model is to engage the employees in decision-making process and also make them feel that their participation is crucial for the organization. The supportive model of OB is built upon the assumption of theory Y of human behavior given by McGregor. This model suggests that human approach which is used to analyze, understand and influence behavior of employees has vital role to play in motivating them to produce more. This model advocated the use of supportive leadership style instead of using money and authority to motivate the employees. The model assumes that the employees are neither passive nor reluctant to organizational goals and needs, but they become so with the passage of time when organizations fail to provide them adequate support and environment. Therefore, in order to get desired results, managers have to show supportive attitude towards the performance of employees rather than providing more and more fringe benefits. Supportive model aims at satisfying relatively higher order of needs, particularly social needs of employees, so as to make them more productive. The role of the managers is more of the leaders than that of being a manager or a boss. He, express, he expresses help and supportive attitude towards routine issues of employees. Research studies have proved that there is a direct relationship between support approach followed by the leaders and satisfaction level of employees as well as organizational effectiveness. This model was widely appreciated and followed in developed countries having abundance of resources, sophisticated technology, and skilled employees. Whereas in developing and underdeveloped nations, which face shortage of resources and have unskilled employees, the application of this model is very limited. The relevance of this model is described as below. Leadership qualities. Supportive model suggests that a leader plays the role in supporting the employees, directing and motivating them towards their work. The main aim of leader is to provide the support instead of exercising his power as the boss. Assumption about uh, human behavior. Leader assumes that employees take the responsibility. Employees work hard to improve themselves whenever they get the opportunities. If proper motivation will be given to them periodically, they can become more creative and may utilize their capabilities towards the achievement of the organizational objectives. Supportive by nature. Management is supportive by nature. By doing so, they may enhance the employee's job performance. Needs of employees. This model takes care of the needs of the employees, which include psychological needs, subsistence and security needs, and social needs. Collegial model. This model is an improved version of supportive model. The meaning of collegial is when body of people are having a common goal or purpose. The model is based on team approach and mutual understanding with each other about the goals. It suggests relatively more distribution of power and authority throughout the whole organization. The intention behind this is to involve employees working at the lower levels of management. The model assumes that when authority will be delegated to the lower levels, employees working at lower levels will become part of the authority and will assume the responsibility to accomplish the task with higher efficiency. The approach of management under this model is more inclined towards granting freedom and autonomy to the employees. The employees take the responsibilities and respond to situations which require little control and direction. The role of managers is thus to lead, direct the employees, coordinate with them, making them self disciplined, and facilitating their team efforts for achieving the goals. The model focuses on achievement of self esteem and self actualization needs of employees. Satisfaction of this need provides contentment, sense of achievement, and generates enthusiasm amongst the employees. Relevance of the model is given below. Favorable organization climate. This model gives the best climate to employees so that they feel as if they are partners with the management. Contribution of employees is same as of the management because both accept the challenges. Team spirit. This model uses the concept of team and mutual understanding between each other. Workers accept the opportunities and challenges because they are obliged to do so and not because the management forces them to do and give them punishment in case they don't. This way of doing the work helps in developing the organization system with self discipline. Useful in research. Collegial model is one of the models which are useful in laboratory research and even other similar kind of work situations. By using this model, workers feel satisfied and important as they have involvement in management matters. Behavioral models. In this section, we will discuss four models of individual behavior. These models are very useful to understand individual behavior. Rational and emotional models. According to rational model, an individual is perceived as highly rational being. Whenever comes across with some problem, the individual is expected to collect all relevant information, analyze it, and then take a final decision. Thus, this model assumes humans being serious, deliberative, and computational. In contrast to this, emotional model assumes human beings to be more emotional, who are guided by their emotions. This model states that individual decision making is derived by the dominant emotions. Behavioristic model. This model states that human beings can only be described in terms of their behaviors. For this purpose of describing an individual, only observable behavior is considered. Humanistic model states that individuals are philosophical and not scientific. Economic and self-actualizing model. Economic model conceptualizes human beings as economic in orientation. This model advocates the use of economic rewards and incentives for enhancing the productivity. In contrast to this, self-actualizing model states that human beings are motivated by the opportunity to grow and develop, not just by economic rewards. This model assumes that human beings have the cravings to fulfill their self-actualization need, and therefore they strive to accomplish their goals. Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X. As discussed earlier also, Theory X assumes individuals to be uncreative, lazy, work shirkers, and undisciplined. Theory X gives certain assumptions about these people. It says that people who fall in this category will avoid work as much as they can. They would not like to take responsibility and would like to be led. They will be more of followers rather than being leaders. Theory Y. This theory postulates that individuals are not work shirkers, they like work and tend to take responsibility. They have the potential which can be channelized to achieve organizational goals. The assumptions of this theory are that people like to spend their energies in work just as they like play or rest. This theory also says that people who fall in this category will not only accept responsibility, but if the environment is conducive, they will also seek responsibility for the organizational tasks. Another assumption of theory Y is that the extent of motivation and commitment of these people towards the organizational goals will be directly in accordance with the amount of rewards expected. In his book, The Human Side of Enterprise, Douglas McGregor specified the assumptions regarding both these theories, that is, theory X and theory Y. Firstly, we'll talk about theory X assumptions. The first assumption of theory X is that the average human being has an inherent dislike of work and will avoid it if he can. Then, because of this dislike for work, most people must be controlled and threatened before they will work hard enough. The average human prefers to be directed, dislikes responsibility, is unambiguous, and desires security above everything. These assumptions lie behind most organizational principles today and give rise both to tough management with punishments and tight controls, and soft management, which aims at harmony at work. Theory X managers do not give their staff the opportunity so that the employees behave in the expected fashion. Now we'll talk about the assumptions of theory Y. The first one is the expenditure of physical and mental effort in work is as natural as play or rest. Control and punishment are not the only ways to make people work. People will direct themselves if they are committed to the aims of the organization. If a job is satisfying, then the result will be committed to the organization. The average man learns under proper conditions not only to accept but to seek responsibility also. Imagination, creativity, and ingenuity can be used to solve work problems by a large number of employees, and these qualities are with most of the employees and not with only a few of them. Under the conditions of modern industrial life, the intellectual potentialities of the average man are only being partially utilized. So, students, let's now summarize what we have learned. Various models have been developed to study the behavior of people at workplace. The organizational behavior models were developed on the basis of the approach of management and various assumptions. The selection of any model to be practiced in the organization depends on the prevailing situation and practices used by management, because models constitute the beliefs and value system which affects the management actions directly. It is the duty of a manager to make the management aware regarding which model is most suitable for the organization, and they should also make them aware about the nature, significance, and effectiveness of the model. Douglas McGregor was the first person to give attention to managerial models, and he gave the two theories, the theory X and theory Y, about human behavior. Later, majority of the models were developed on the basis of the assumption given in the same theory X and theory Y. In this module, we discussed the basic OB model. The model explained the interaction between individual variables, group variables, and organizational variables, and the cumulative effect of these variables on human behavior in the organizational context. Individual behavior has the tendency to influence and be influenced by the group behavior, which further influence and is influenced by the organizational system, structure, and design. These three levels of behavior further affect human performance at workplace. This phenomena was explained by the basic OB model. The model proposed two types of variables, independent variables and dependent variables. Set of independent variables included all variables which governed individual behavior at three levels: individual level, group level, and organizational level. Dependent variables could be defined as the responses which were caused by independent variables. These variables had serious implications for the organizational effectiveness. The important dependent variables are productivity, absenteeism, turnover, satisfaction, and organizational citizenship behavior. After having an understanding of different sets of independent and dependent variables that constitute an OB model, it's very clear that different organizations use different models as per their ideologies, situations, and requirements. There are four types of OB models: autocratic model, custodial model, supportive model, and collegial model. These models have been discussed. Besides that, four models of individual behavior: rational and emotional model, behavioristic and humanistic model, economic and self-actualizing model, and theory X and theory Y were discussed. These models are useful in understanding individual behavior. Thank you.